Slow life is essentially the fusion of the isekai and the slice of life genres. Whether you're reincarnated into another world to run a drugstore, a restaurant, or make a harem full of cute anime girls, doesn't matter as long as it's nothing plot related. I think the first show where I really started to notice this trend was with Nokin, where the main character gets reincarnated and she's super all-powerful, but while there is some normal isekai adventuring, the focus of the show really isn't about any conflicts on an episode-by-episode basis. And even with following shows like Bofuri, which is it's a video game isekai, but I mean, it's practically the same thing. But I think the show that really cemented slow life as a full-blown genre, to me at least, was By the Grace of Gods, where the main character gets reincarnated and opens a laundry shop. Not kidding, that is the plot of the show. And from then on, we practically had a slow life show every season. We had 300 Slime, we had Drugstore in Another World, we had the second season of Restaurant in Another World, and, actually, I guess maybe the first season of Restaurant in Another World was kind of maybe the first kind of slow life show, so maybe it was ahead of its time back in 2017. And I've practically ended up watching all of them. Even the bad ones, like In the Land of Leodel, but sometimes the genre really lends itself to finding, absolute amazing pieces of work, and surprising ones, such as in RPG Real Estate. But as with all good things, this positivity couldn't last. The 1 to 2 slow lives a season was already getting pretty cumbersome. But now, the winter 2023 season, there are 7 shows I would classify as being pretty much slow life shows. Granted, maybe Rokin is more of a country-building anime, and we already established that maybe Bofuri is more of a video game than an isekai anime, but we also have Cooking in Another World. We have the second season of Running a Laundry Shop in Another World. We have Being a Handyman in Another World. We have Farming in Another World. And we have Living a Slow Life, literally in the title, in my 30s. So in the span of immediately, we've gone from this niche 1 to 2 show thing to the overblown saturation and the death of a genre. So how did this happen? Well, immediately I think the benefits of the slow life genre are pretty obvious. With the booming of the isekai genre, it was certain that people were looking from an escape from the real world. However, a lot of these shows were often action or plot heavy, so they didn't really allow a relaxing escape. And while of course there is the relaxing slice of life genre, more often than not, the main settings for these shows are schools or even worse, workplaces. So if you're going home and you're watching adults working, I mean, it's not very pleasant. That's not an escape at all. So the creation and the proliferation of the slow life genre, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. Especially if you think, for normal isekai shows with, plots and conflict, I mean, that requires a bit more narrative writing, whereas in these slow life shows, if you're just, assembling a cast of cute girl characters and just doing mundane stuff, I mean, that doesn't really require a complex narrative to write at all. And you can just insert whatever mundane thing you want into the isekai world, and then you'll have a whole plot that's just written around it without really any effort. So why the slow life genre has been adopted and rapidly proliferated, I'm sure has been made readily apparent. However, because of that fact, we are now oversaturated in the slow life genre. And so for the first of hopefully not too many more seasons, I am not watching all of the slow life shows this season, especially since Farming in Another World and Chilling a Slow Life in My 30s, those shows frickin' blow. Slow Life is dead.